Yes, I did it. I killed Yvette. I hated her so much. Flames on the side of my face, breathing, heaving breaths.
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy a little bit late this week because of scheduling, but that's going to happen now that the pandemic's over. It's over now. We could just go and do whatever we want. We could see movies every single night. That's irresponsible. It's not.
I'm mentioning that this one was Matt's fault only because it's mostly my fault when we're delayed. So I feel the need to say, like, this week, this was a rare
minute.
Week.
How is it mostly my fault?
Because you said you couldn't do it Wednesday night.
I guess so. But then you couldn't do it the next two nights.
I know. I'm just saying our regular night.
I'm saying, okay, but that hasn't been our regular night in a while.
I set it aside. I had a special.
All right, whatever. Ergo, concurrently,
lit candles.
We are the Mattitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hi, everybody.
Today we're talking about 2003's The Matrix Reloaded, which is a super mixed bag of a sequel. It is not overtly terrible, but it is diminishing returns from the first Matrix movie, and we'll talk about that in our main event today. And then before that, we're going to get into DC FanDome, which just happened this afternoon. We're recording this on a Saturday evening or Saturday afternoon for Eric, and get into all that, including the new Batman trailer. 1 year after the Batman teaser, or actually a little more than a year after the first Batman teaser aired at the last FanDome in 2020. But before we even dig into that, Eric, I'm going to talk about some trailers.
Sure.
In the Google Doc, Eric had written out a list of trailers he thought we wanted to talk about, but he informed me right as we were about to record that he wrote that back on Wednesday. Or even before that.
It was Wednesday.
And that, we're going to mostly talk about FanDome, but we should also mention that the new trailers for Scream, which is the fifth Scream movie, which is just called Scream, which I think Eric and I both have issues with.
The title, not the movie's existence.
No, exactly. I can't, there's no way I can take umbrage with this movie existing since Scream 4 is my second favorite Scream movie. Like, obviously, I'm into these sequels, but I think there's something that's a better decision out there than Scream or Scream 5, which also probably wouldn't have served this movie based on what we think it's supposed to be. So, but they went with Scream, and now the original Scream will forever have to have a parenthetical date afterwards.
It was just, I just went with through a funny thing, which is I did interviews for Halloween Kills, which of course, annoyingly, the last movie, which 2018 movie, a movie I really liked, was called Halloween, and yet it was a sequel to the movie called Halloween. And what that meant was in every interview, both myself and the actors and people I'm interviewing have to say in the 2018 movie, like they can't say like in Halloween because that doesn't make sense on its surface. So it's just this annoying little thing that's happening with titles a lot.
All right. I saw, at least in my Twitter bubble, people being very underwhelmed by the Scream. Let's call it a teaser. It's not a trailer. But I also feel like I wasn't underwhelmed, but I understand maybe where they were coming from, because I think the full breadth and depth of this movie and what it is and what they're going for and the tone and the actual premise and the sort of hovering ingredient X of this movie wasn't revealed in that trailer at all. We got a lot of we saw the legacy characters. We saw a lot of action. We briefly met the faces of the new cast, which is Melissa Barrera and Jack Quaid and Dylan Minnette and Jasmine Savoy Brown and other people. But we just got sort of an encapsulation of what it is. And I think because I did a junket for this movie almost a year ago when they were about to, I think they were just a week or two away. It was
like the kickoff of production, right?
Yeah. No, there was almost the end of production. And they were everyone was just going on about how great this script was. And, it's from the directors of Ready or Not. And that movie, and Eric and I both really like that movie, and that tone, which is very Scream-esque. It's very horror comedy, but also very brutal and fun. And there was no comedy in this trailer. There was no a sense of a meta aspect to it. So I think a lot of this is still yet to be revealed. Anyway.
Yeah, my Twitter bubble was more positive than yours, I guess. But if there was a common complaint, it was like, isn't Scream supposed to be also, besides scary, funny and self-aware? And this trailer was very little of that. But I do feel comfortable that the movie will be, that with Williamson producing it and with the Ready or Not guys making it, that they will not forget that there's supposed to be a meta part and a self-aware aspect to it. So I will say that I liked the trailer. I didn't love it, but I liked it. And then it played before Halloween Kills opening night, like with a sold out audience who were cheering,
too, with Halloween
who cheered when they realized what it was. I mean, most of them, I'm sure, had already seen it online, but were cheering it when it began and cheering it at the end.
It seems like the trailer gives away the first kill. I still don't think it does. So we'll see. I still think that there's something lurking behind the curtain here that we're not fully aware of. Okay. Then let's talk. Okay, The Black Phone looks cool. Scott Derrickson's new movie based on a Joe Hill story. Ethan Hawke playing a nasty killer. And that looks cool. You've seen it, right? The movie?
I've seen it and I loved it. I saw it a week.
Okay, so that's why I thought it was funny that you wanted us to talk about the trailer. I was like, you've seen the movie. But I know you saw the movie. Did you see the movie since you wrote it on the Google Doc?
No, I saw the movie like 2 days before the trailer came out.
Okay. I was like, in fact, so basically, you want me to talk about the trailer while you've seen the entire movie.
No, but I will say, I feel like kind of an asshole with what I'm about to say, because I'm like, why are people not more as savvy as I am? But I also understand it's literally our jobs, and it's also just who we are.
Oh, I know. Well, Eric, I just literally had this thought earlier when they released the Batman trailer and like literally tweeted out by who tweeted out, Warner Brothers or somebody.
Yeah.
Whatever it was that I retweeted. And they're like this tweet to get reminders for when tickets go on sale. And I'm like, what's that world like? Unless you're like Eric and I, who like literally are waiting for the tickets to drop so we can buy them. We are hyper aware of when tickets go on sale. We don't need these like ding reminders,
But I guess, but the funny thing here was just that there were so many people saying, where's the Scream trailer? And then there was a smaller subsect has the Black Phone hype started to build saying, where's the Black Phone trailer? And my answer was, without knowing anything, going, guys, it'll be the week Halloween Kills comes out. Just because I'm like, that's what they will do. They will put it out with a huge horror movie release to hype these movies opening early next year, because it will play before this movie when it comes out. So that's what happened. They both came out. And sorry if I'm a dick for.
No, it's fine.
I do understand people don't kind of think in that.
No, but we're self-aware to know that we are very a strange hyper niche world of entertainment where everyone just has there are people out there who do need these somehow technology alerts to tell them that pop culture is happening, and that's we have trained our brains to know when it is because we have to. Okay, and we like it. So then also on the list was the new trailer for Home Sweet Home Alone. The Home Sweet Home Alone and Scream, I think, dropped on the same day, which was really strange. So it's like, what year is 90s
nostalgia? Yeah,
another legacy sequel because Buzz McAllister is in this movie as a cop.
That means that there gets to be a line about this all sounds familiar or something like that. Yeah.
I will say that there are a lot of funny people in this movie, like comedians and funny actors like Ellie Kemper and Rob Delaney and Pete Holmes. And it's written by Mikey Day and another SNL writer, and it's directed by the Sacha Baron Cohen's longtime co-writer and collaborator for Borat and Ali G and stuff. And it looks like dog shit, so I don't know what to think about it. It's a lot of really either it's subversively funny and it just doesn't come across in the trailer because it looks very what you would think a new Home Alone would be. It looks like a repeat of the first movie. It also is strange because Rob Delaney and Ellie Kemper don't seem like scary, scuzzy, evil people, but they're going to get physically punished and tortured throughout this movie.
The one thing that made me laugh was a clearly kind of 2021 meta thing of the kid. He has some line. It's a veer on. Ooh, that looks like it hurts, but it was basically an acknowledgement because everyone jokes about in real life, everything Kevin did to these guys would grievously injure them.
I think he says, and because I thought we were going to talk about these, and we are, beforehand, I watched it and he says, that doesn't seem right, or that doesn't.
Right. Like whatever he says is like, it did make me chuckle. And it was obviously there to be that, like, let's acknowledge the extreme physical trauma that we will put these characters
I mean, is he going to light Ellie Kemper on fire?
Right.
Like, that seems really harsh for Kimmy Schmidt.
Right. We'll see. I agree, by the way. It's like, this trailer just seems, first of all, in no way am I angry about this trailer, because I'm not precious about Home Alone, and B, it's just funny because Home Alone already has like several terrible sequels without Macaulay Culkin. Like there was like 3 through 5 without Macaulay Culkin.
This is basically like very much like The Matrix in that you can just watch the first one and never have to expand past it, and you're good. So so this is Home Alone Resurrections, and I still don't know how they're going to answer this, Eric. They're away, they're going to Japan, they leave him alone. It's what's the kid's name? He was in
Archie Gates from Jojo Rabbit.
But like the mom calls him, right? Like they all have cell phones in this. They have to. So but she calls him in, but there's like no friend or neighbor he can go to. Like there's no. Is he in a demilitarized zone? Like, why can't someone look after him?
I do think with the pedigree involved, like you mentioned, a lot of very funny people are in it, and also a lot of very funny people made it. So I do wonder, is it one of those cases where, everything funny that they possibly came up with was cut out because this is what Disney wanted? Or will it be one of those movies with occasional chuckles for the adults because they snuck in, some funny things because they're funny people making this movie?
I mean, I just can't wait for him to take a chainsaw to Rob Delaney's balls. And he's
after you talked about him setting Ellie Kemper on fire, he could just go full sadism.
He's like, this is going on TikTok, because it's 2021.
Because it's 2021. That's right.
All right. And then now let's talk about let's talk about Chucky very briefly, and then we'll get into FanDome and the Batman trailer. Chucky debuted this week to Chucky's best reviews ever, to the best reviews any Child's Play or Chucky iteration has ever had. And that's including the movies that are actually certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, which are the last
finally, everyone's catching up to us.
Which are like the first movie and the last two. Somehow Bride didn't quite make the cut, but this one's like 94 or 95, and it's like it's just based off of probably the first episode. I know some people saw beyond 1 or 2 or 3 or so on, but this is a new era, a new Chucky, still the same continuation of the story. But I really dug the first episode. I don't know how it fits yet. I don't know how all the legacy characters quite fit yet, but I'm intrigued. And I like the idea of Chucky now being paired with a teenager, not like a little kid like Andy was in the first 2 movies, but a teen, a queer teen who's being bullied. And where Chucky has because of Chucky's possession powers now, there's no, Chucky doesn't need to possess this kid. He's not after him. He's just his like enforcer at this point. He's just like, basically, he's kind of like the guest.
And kind of like he's taking devil on his shoulder. Yeah.
He's taking out the problem. He's brutally taking out the problems in this teenager's life. And it will cause a lot of problems for the teenager once he starts being blamed for these things, but this is only the first episode, and so far, so good. I love it. I really loved it. And you and I both got a Chucky doll. You got an extra Chucky doll.
I do have.
You have multiple Chucky dolls, so yeah.
I have a cult of Chucky forming in my home. We brought one of them to Beyond Fest, where they screened the pilot. Dom Mancini and the kids were there, along with Barbara Woods, who plays the mayor. And then they screened the original movie right after, which was just kind of cool again, because as we've mentioned, this is such a completely unique series in Hollywood, because for 33 years, one continuity and one creator, and that just doesn't happen. I've seen the first 4, and I really like this show a lot. I think it's very cool how, like you mentioned, Matt, it's like, because they're going back to the basics in some respects, because it's like Chucky and a kid, but this kid, by being a few years older, it's like a very crucial few years, so it's a very different dynamic. And just kind of like, Chucky's been so malleable already, so putting him into this scenario is really cool. They'll slowly get to the legacy characters. I think it's not even a secret because they've talked about it in press. It's like they don't really come until the second half of the season. But I think that's the right move because you have to be accessible to new people.
And I'm assuming I don't know what Chucky's plan is at this point. I know that this is taking place in Charles Lee Ray's hometown of Hackensack,
New Jersey.
Hackensack, and so there has to be a reason why this particular Chucky doll is there. He couldn't have probably expected to be aligned with his teen, but there's got to be some plot within the cult of Chucky going on.
Like, why does he want to be back home?
Exactly. That's still to be revealed. But what I think was really fun about this is that this series has somehow now given a bit of prestige to Chucky. This is a big NBC Universal production that looks better than the past like 4 Chucky movies. Maybe not Bride, but the past 3 Chucky movies.
Yeah,
like it's got a budget of Bride, and it looks great on screen. It's simultaneously on USA and Sci-Fi. These are big channels, and a lot of people are watching this show who maybe haven't seen. They don't know the legacy of this series. They haven't watched the past like decades of movies. Maybe they watch 1, maybe they watch 1 and 2, but maybe they did a long time ago, but now they're watching and they're like, you know what? This is really well done and well written. And like, they don't realize that, they don't even have to realize that it's all still Don Mancini. They're just like, wow, am I actually enjoying this? This is really good. It's drawing in people who would not go see a Chucky movie in the theater.
Yes.
They're like, oh, this is a new like hyped series. I will watch this. Even though I'm not someone who even maybe would go see horror movies, who might have even assumed it was a hard reboot, right?
Right. Which again is why it's smart, even though I know it'll frustrate some segments of the fan base who want to see the legacy characters originally. It's so much convolution. You have to come in with new characters and use your new main character to learn about Chucky's backstory to get to the characters from the past. It'd be way too much if everyone showed up in this for, right away from those movies. So I think this is the right way to do it. We should mention, Matt, that because we were like, oh, how do we cover Chucky? Because, we did all the movies. We definitely want to talk about it. So I think after the season is over, we'll do like a full spoiler, like recap.
Right. We didn't do one for What If, but we will do one for Chucky just because. And because we've done all the Chuckies. All right, let's talk about DC FanDome, another virtual event that went about 3.5 hours today, 4 hours, something like that. It's
just under 4 hours, like 3 or 45.
Yeah. That I will say, DC FanDome was known not just in 2020 for being the where Zack Snyder was releasing a lot of information and stuff about Zack Snyder's Justice League, but it was also the best received of the virtual cons of 2020, just really well put together, really good at dispensing information, really great at like creating an immersive experience for the people.
Making it feel like an event versus just faces on a box,
Yeah. So it's back. It really still looks really slick and really well presented. I was telling Eric beforehand, before the we started recording, that this is not the fault of the hosts, but I didn't watch all of this FanDome. I had to pop in and out, but there was a lot of, just I don't know how to explain it, the happy-go-lucky rhetoric. I don't mind the puns. You read what's on the cue card, you're like, hey, you want a super sneak preview of this wonderful thing, we'll show you in a flash, and they're all like superhero based puns, and that get and they start stretching them really thin by 2 hours in. But every single time they cut to a new like host circle, sometimes it's a pair, sometimes it's a single person, they're just like, the host had to say how humbled and honored they were to be there and to be in the FanDome, which is weird because it's all virtual, and so I don't know what they're looking at really, but then it's also
like the Matrix, they plug in to the back of their head.
Every host, and maybe it's because I and you too, Eric, are also very trained with wrestling commentary in WWE, with the rhetoric they use and having to use the same terms over and over again, and dispense the same message every 10 minutes, sell the same products, call the fans WWE Universe, and we're very in tune with that. So every host had to tell the fans were the DC fans are the greatest fans in the universe.
Right,
Like
right.
I'm just so
WWE.
happy to be here with the greatest fans in the universe. And it's
Right.
like, okay, at this point, now I hate everyone. Now I hate all the fans. Okay, so we got big news about, so we got behind the scenes looks at Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and Shazam, Fury of the Gods. So those were like behind the scenes looks, production.
Those are the movies coming out the furthest away. So yeah.
Aquaman didn't show me anything quite new, but it was fun in Shazam to see actually Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu as the new characters in a few moments. And then we got what else? We got an actual very short scene, but very intense and dark and violent from Black Adam. That's what opened the show. And then there were a lot of news about look, DC's got a lot of stuff. They've got a lot of TV shows. They've got a lot of animated series. They've got things that you don't even remember were still on because the Arrowverse still exists. And the former DC Universe stuff, which is now the HBO Max universe,
Doom
still
Patrol
exists.
Titans,
Doom Patrol Titans, Harley Quinn. And now they've roped in Pennyworth, which was like an Epix show. What was that on? Yeah,
it was on Epix, yeah.
So now that for season 3, it'll be on HBO Max. And they also have DMZ coming. They've got Sweet Tooth on Netflix. They have DMZ and Naomi.
Sandman coming to Netflix as well.
Sandman, but wait, DMZ is not like part of the Superverse, but
no.
Naomi,
DMZ, like Sweet Tooth, I think is another Vertigo title.
What will DMZ be on?
HBO Max.
And what will Naomi be on?
CW.
Okay. And what is Stargirl on?
It is now on CW, where the first season was sort of simultaneously HBO Max and CW. But now it is CW, and then it, after the season finishes, it all goes to HBO Max.
Okay, all right.
it is funny because when the announcement of Pennyworth was interesting to me, because I'm like, well, Pennyworth is so under the radar, to the point that when I tweeted this news, I had people either say, I didn't realize the show ever premiered, or they watched season 1 but didn't realize season 2 had aired, when it was like this is the renewal for season 3.
They need those Google alerts. They should like the tweets so they get the alerts for when these shows are back on.
That's right. But I'm like, well, it makes sense because in this day and age where it's all about getting more content for your streaming service, it's like Pennyworth already set up, already going, already 2 years of content, because they're going to get the first 2 seasons on HBO Max in the early year. They announced before season 3, got the Batman connection, and it's just more content for your streaming service. So I was like, man, if Krypton were airing now, which only aired 1 season on Sci-Fi, and got canceled,
I forgot about that show.
Yeah, it would be saved by HBO Max, because now we're in a place where everything DC is either on CW or HBO Max, with the outliers, the 2 shows on with Lucifer over, the 2 shows on Netflix, which is Sandman and Sweet Tooth. But going forward, I'm sure they will not be doing. I'm assuming they will likely are going to keep all DC stuff CW and HBO Max, and there'll be those 2 outliers on Netflix. But that'll be it. It's like everything else will stay under that umbrella, with anything new for CW getting streaming rights on HBO Max, because that's how it already works. So slow, because it was a strange thing. Sepinwall and I were tweeting about this. It's like, it was just a strange thing that when DC Universe was still a thing, they were still doing shows like Krypton and stuff and Pennyworth. They were still spreading everything out, but that's not what you do this day and age. So now they're trying to put it all under a couple of roofs.
All right. They also had a mini Smallville reunion. They had the 80th sort of anniversary of Wonder Woman interview with Patty Jenkins and Linda Carter. Mm-hmm. They had anything else like that? Any other breakouts?
I mean, there was a bunch of little things like that. Like there was the one from Milestone Comics.
And they talked a little bit about the live Static Shock movie. They said another live movie's coming, but they wouldn't say what it was.
Animated movie. There was be multiple Milestone characters are coming as well.
They also that's what they did. They had a Remembering Supergirl sort of like cast.
Yeah, like a bunch of the cast,
because they're heading into their final season. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see here. So they the 2 biggest things, like star power wise, was because of Dwayne Johnson, Black Adam. So that opened the show, mm-hmm. And then everyone knew the Batman was going to close the show. It didn't stop people from complaining that it wasn't.
Well, some people did not know it was going to close the show. That's the funny thing.
Why wouldn't you know it?
Because I was looking at the chat on YouTube, and so many people were like, "Where's? Come on, give us the Batman trailer." I'm like, guys, this is they'd announced it as being a 4-hour event with 1 million properties. Do you really think, again, this is me saying this, but I'm like, do you really think they're going to throw the Batman trailer into the middle of this? It's the main event. It's the headliner. It is clearly going to be the last thing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very funny and annoying that so many people were like, now, show it to me now. Like, no, they're going to make you wait 4 hours.
And also should mention they had a new trailer for Young Justice Phantoms, which actually started today, technically.
That was a big surprise that it was like a surprise drop that the season, very long awaited season has already begun as of today, which I'm excited about. I love that show, so I will watch.
Well, Zack Snyder tweeted an hour ago to Matt Reeves that his trailer was awesome. So that won't stop Zack Snyder fans from yelling at everyone. That it doesn't matter that the person that they idolize has given his seal of approval.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter at all. Okay,
it's like when they were like demanding Affleck get his Batman movie back that he seemed to have no interest in doing. It's like, make him do it. Make him direct and star in this movie that he doesn't want to do.
All right, let's talk about the Batman. I don't think we haven't talked about the Batman on We Enjoy because the teaser came out before we started doing this podcast. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting product. We still don't know exactly how it quite fits into anything, as far as the DCEU, or if it's just a multiverse take, or originally it was supposed to be in the 90s. Like, when is this? Who are they? What's happening? Who's Batman? What's going on? No, it's not that confusing. But so the Batman is another dark, gritty take on Batman. So here's the thing. This dark and gritty take, to me, is very different than Zack Snyder's dark and gritty take. Mm-hmm. Like, this feels more like a 7 grit, as opposed to Zack Snyder's 8th grade middle school notebook cool like grit. Like, this, be cool, like the slow-mo and then this and then that. This feels more like a serial killer 7 type story. So I'm able to sort of like separate it in my mind as far, because in my Twitter bubble, I saw people shitting on this, being like, I just don't want any more dark and gritty Batman. It's like, I understand that frame of mind, but also I feel like that I can discern different types of grit, and I'm okay with it. I like the trailer a lot. I feel like a lot of people didn't, but that just could be my bubble, that I'm not sure. But anyway, I have the score in my head, like dun, dun, dun.
Oh yeah. It's Michael Giacone doing another great superhero theme.
Yeah, he's really good. He's not mentioned enough in amongst the Hans Zimmers and the what are considered the heavy hitters of music makers. Like, Michael Giacone is amazing, mm-hmm. and has done like huge movies that I don't even. But somehow his name isn't used.
I was noting that he has now scored so much at Disneyland or Disney parks in general, both because there are scores being used from his films. Like, if you go to the Spider-Man ride now at California Adventure, you'll hear his Homecoming score being used. But then also, and then like his score for Up is played all the time when you're just sitting outside at Disneyland on Main Street. And there's just like multiple rides based on his movies he scored that are using his music. Plus, he wrote original music for a couple of rides, like Space Mountain. So it's his world, and we're living in it.
Anyway, I really like the trailer. I really am excited for this movie. No notes from me at this point, but you might not have liked it. I don't know. I just, sometimes for me, hating football is as cliche as liking football. You know what I mean? So anyway.
I was fine with the trailer. It was a little underwhelming to me, just because I wanted to be like super hyped, only because I fucking loved the trailer a year ago. That trailer, I was like, that trailer totally hyped me up. And like you said, like kind of evoked this sort of 7 vibe. And, at this, I mean, we're at a tricky point with Batman now, because with live action Batman, animation's different.
Because Ben Affleck still isn't done.
Well, A, he's not dead, but B, with live action Batman,
and Michael Keaton's coming back.
You have to make him dark. And and that's just the way it is in this. And you can't go back and make like a goofy or more lighthearted Batman. It's just he's gonna be dark. So then you have to figure out a way to make it different. And that first trailer excited me a lot. This trailer was okay, but aesthetically there were parts of it that felt a little too much like the Nolan movies. Like there was just some of the stuff of like looking at Batman and stuff.
No, I get that. And in the interview part where they had Reeves and Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz there ahead of time, basically they talked for 10 minutes or something when everyone was like, get to the trailer. Where he's like, I wanted something really grounded in year one. I was like, well, that was what Batman Begins was. It was grounded in year one. So you can't want that vibe for the movie and not evoke what Nolan was trying to do, because that's what Nolan was trying to do. Like, it's not right. So I agree with you that it's not a new take to try to make Batman grounded and and this is the start of Batman trying to figure out who he is. It's been done. So I get that. I still really dug it. Yeah.
So I mean, like, look, I'm still excited for the movie. I love Matt Reeves. He pretty much has not made a movie I don't like, if not love. And yeah, it's as much as you and I don't care about reboots or remakes, the thing where we remake a perfectly amazing foreign film for America is still weird to me when it's like, just because people don't want to watch subtitles or actors they don't know is sort of weird to us. But the Let Me In almost immediate remake of Let the Right One In is really good. It's really good. Yeah. And I really still like Cloverfield, by the way, which I rewatched.
Cloverfield's amazing. Cloverfield's great. Yeah.
And his Apes movies are great. So yeah, I'm very in on Reeves. I'm still excited for this trailer. I like the first one more was my main thing. Like that one got me a little more hyped than this one did. But it was fine. It was good. We should talk about, we mentioned in passing the Black Adam, a very quick teaser, but I thought it was cool. And, that was, people made a lot of Mortal Kombat jokes because of the way he like kills that guy and disintegrates him and crushes his skeleton. That was cool. And then the Flash footage, the other Batman, because if there's one thing they're not lacking for, it's Batman.
Do you think, this is my question to you, do you think they held off on showing Michael Keaton's face because it was going to overshadow the Batman trailer at the end?
Maybe
they could have showed us Michael Keaton's face. They could have done it.
And they should have. I don't know why they were that coy.
I feel like everyone at the end of this was going to say, I don't know about you, but I care more about this Batman than this Batman. And if they had done that, I feel like it would have taken some of the air out of the Batman trailer at the end.
Now that you're saying that, I can see that being a discussion they would have had. Like right now with the Batman, again, these titles being such an important movie to them, that's the one that they want people to be talking about more. Because I was like, oh, we're gonna finally see Keaton, and then they're like, they're still kind of holding off there. A big tease. They didn't even show his Batmobile. They show him about to pull the tarp off it, but they don't show it. You got to
because it was going to overshadow the other Batmobile.
right.
They're not going to show anything.
Right. We know there are 2 Ezra Miller Flashes in this movie, and we got a very quick look at Supergirl, who we knew was in it, as we see that it's something where Barry is gathering a team for some sort of multiverse adventure.
And the second Ezra Miller seems to be wearing a Batman suit that has been painted on top to look like the Flash. So I don't know what that's about. But and I think there's some voiceover work. I think the first couple sentences are actually Michael Keaton.
Me too. At first I didn't catch that when I rewatched it.
But then you and I know his voice enough where it's like at some point it stops being him. I think it's Ezra Miller, but yeah. So we got to hear him anyway.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Very quickly here, you can find Eric and myself over on the Twitter machine. Go for it.
Hold on. No, I just want to say, like, FanDome, it kind of couldn't recapture last year, only because, again, last year it almost had the benefit of like showing everyone else how you can really do one of these virtual events, and now it's a year later, and I think it's still the best produced one. But I will say, watching it, I was surprised they didn't have a couple of bigger announcements, because I thought this is where Marvel still knows how to do it. Looking at like that Disney Investor Day, which I think was in like December, and like when they're like Secret Invasion is happening and Ironheart's happening.
So what they need, what you're
and
saying
Tim
they
Roth is
needed,
back, and
they needed to basically announce a new movie.
either that or a cool piece of casting we didn't know, like for Batgirl. Like there's been, I don't know if you saw, the directors of Batgirl said Batman's in the movie, and they said, which Batman? And they go, the real Batman. And everyone's like, is it Affleck? Because J.K. Simmons is apparently in this movie. Announce it. Like say like Ben Affleck will return as Bruce Wayne and Batgirl. Something like even the Wonder Woman conversation was funny because they were clearly talking about the fact that Patty Jenkins and Linda Carter were talking about the fact that she will be in the next Wonder Woman movie, which was teased at the end of the last one, but they were coy. They're like, oh, maybe I'm like, just say it. Just say like, Linda's going to have a huge part in the next one. And here's the title. It was just a weird thing where I felt like, yeah, they needed to have those one or two, like, oh, that's awesome announcements, because there was some cool footage and some fun moments, but there wasn't as many like, whoa, like I didn't know that was going to be a thing.
And we forgot to mention that Superman's new comic book motto is going to be truth, justice, and a better tomorrow, which will somehow get politicized because the American way is taken out, even though in the original 1940s serial dramas, it was truth, justice, and tolerance.
Tucker Carlson will make a meal out of this for sure.
So our notes for DC FanDome seem to be need bigger announcements, or at least one big sort of like hook announcement that no one knew was coming ahead of time. And secondly, the hosts need to calm the fuck down and stop pretending. They don't have to step out there and be like, hey, fuckwads, I hate being here. But they need to stop being like, it's like God's tickling my tummy. I can't believe that I am here in the FanDome and it's my lifelong dream and I can die now. They have to stop that shit. Okay. As I was saying before, we are on Twitter at the Matt Fowler, the Eric Goldman. You can email us at weenjoypodcast@gmail.com. You can also join our Patreon for a couple bucks a month, which I almost started filming a little videos for the Patreon because I got a new tattoo. And I was like, hey, maybe someone wants to see my arm getting stabbed, but I didn't. But videos will be coming to the Patreon feed as well. But you can also get a commercial-free version of this podcast. Before we get into our good things to enjoy and then our main event of Matrix Reloaded, Joey wrote to us on Patreon. Hey guys, I was a couple episodes behind on the podcast, but I was able to watch Breakdown and The Matrix on back-to-back days. Breakdown was amazing. I'd never seen it before, but I really enjoyed the build-up to that last 20 minutes of action. I was so glad that you guys said that you would circle back to The Thing because it's my favorite Kurt Russell movie. I have a question about the new Matrix movie. Do you think it will be any good? Pretty much all of these sequels 20 years after the original have been terrible. Scream 4 is the only one I actually enjoyed. Thanks. I enjoyed it as well, Joey. I will also argue that, and I spoke about this on the podcast, Blade Runner 2049 is, I think, better than the original, and I love it. So I don't agree with all of them being terrible, but I'm sure there are many examples we could cite of legacy decades later sequels that are bad. I don't know. I can't. Joey, the trailer is amazing. So
it's a great trailer, and
it's an amazing trailer.
Movie,
like the way
it's a great trailer,
the way they cut it together, and the way that they add the score to White Rabbit. It just really works. Like when what's her name? Who played Colleen Wing? Jessica
Henwick.
When she's jumping over the car and it plays that. Oh, that's so awesome. Anyway. Right now, Joey, trailer A+. Movie yet to be determined. I don't know.
I'm optimistic.
I'm optimistic because the third Matrix movie, Revolutions, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but I feel like odds are this one has to be better and will be better.
Yeah. So,
okay. Good things to enjoy this week. Last week, I broke the rules a little bit, our loose rules that we only imposed on ourselves. Even though, what I recommended did have murder in it. It did involve homicide, only murders in the building, which, just a reminder, airs its finale this coming Tuesday. So if it's something you wanted to binge in one, with it finished, you can after Tuesday. It will be all done. Season 1, at least. My recommendation this week is a horror movie. So going back into the scare zone for spooky season, called His House, and it is available on Netflix. It premiered in at the Sundance Film Festival, but then Netflix scooped it up, and it sort of came out in 2020. So when everyone was sort of locked inside, it came out Halloween or almost Halloween last year, and it is sort of a psychological horror thriller about Sudanese refugees in England, and it stars I'm going to say their names wrong, Sope Dirisu. And so Wunmi Mosaku actually is sort of had a moment over the past couple of years because she was in the short-lived Lovecraft Country, and she was just on Loki. And they play a refugee couple who is sort of trying to find asylum in England, leaving their war-torn country for safety. And they're sort of in this diplomatic limbo, and they're finally assigned a house that's sort of in a rundown, poor area outside of London. And they're told that you guys are lucky because usually there's like a whole bunch of you and you get real shit conditions and like a house half this size. But this one couple is given quite a large house. And then things start going all hinky in the fact that like they both start seeing visions. They're both clearly haunted by something. There's a mystery element about what's going on, and sort of a mythological African creature called an apeth or a night witch is looking to collect on a debt. And it's just really well made. And it's for I think it's the first time. This was Remy Weeks wrote and directed this movie, first time feature for this person, and I just think it's amazing. I thought it was a really well done horror film. I think it's really unique and different, and it offers an interesting perspective that you don't really see in movies, let alone horror movies, as far as the actual political elements involved in being a refugee merged with supernatural horror that I think work really well. The most notable name aside from Wunmi Mosaku would be Matt Smith, who's in a supporting role here.
Oh, okay. But God, I haven't heard of this at all, but this sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's really good. You should check it out.
Oh, by the way, just a quick aside for breaking news, which is on my Twitter feed, which is the strike has been averted. That
it would have to be, especially since it would involve publicists. But yeah, so
it would involve everyone. Like they couldn't even do reality shows, like the things they would turn to in a usual like writer's strike. But yeah, so hopefully no details are out yet. Hopefully they got everything that they deserve, because there was some shitty things the way that they make.
We won't go into it, but this was we were on the precipice of tomorrow having a full IATSE strike.
Which would have been just like really shut down everything. And I did think if the strike did happen, it would be resolved quickly, because it would put a standstill to just almost everything.
Yeah, it wouldn't be just like one's corner of entertainment. It would like affect everything.
Right. But yeah, so good to see. And so I was like, what do I recommend? I hadn't thought about it, and then I thought I could be an asshole and recommend The Black Phone, but you can't, because you can't see it till February. Good scary movie, but
I feel like you already recommended it technically, but yeah,
I did. So I'm just gonna go for a classic because I was thinking about this movie the other day, which I'm just gonna go with Poltergeist, which is a movie that I'm like, well, hasn't everyone seen it? But probably everyone hasn't seen it. It's from 1982. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. A lot of people have not. Whenever I revisit this movie, I'm very, very. This is one of the first, when people say what's like one of the first movies you remember like freaking you out. This one I have strong memories of because I saw it probably too young. It was rated PG in a time when that didn't have any meaning, or had very different meaning than it does now. And there's like a person who's clawing their face off at one point, and I had nightmares about that for a while.
So I'm going to ask you. This was my quote unquote first horror movie you saw, but also saw too early. And this was my first, this in my memory is my first horror movie. And it scared the absolute shit out of me on VHS at my neighbor, Jake Campbell's apartment. So yeah, it was absolutely devastating. There were so many things. I am curious if any of our listeners out there watch Poltergeist. It's from, 40 years ago now.
Yeah.
What do you think of it? Does it hold up? Obviously, it's not going to affect you quite in the same way because you're grown-ass adults, but there were so many things at this moment that were absolutely designed to target little kids, like televisions and trees and clowns and toys and like it was awful. Okay, sorry, go on.
No. Yeah, it's all true. I when I revisit this movie, I always really dig it. Even though it doesn't scare me anymore. I just think it's a very well put together movie. And it's interesting in its sort of depiction of this married couple at the time and their kids and what happens when this ominous thing comes into their life. It's, one of the funny things behind the scenes of this movie is the controversial who directed it question, because the listed director is Tobe Hooper, director of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but Steven Spielberg produced this movie, and there's so many it's a big Hollywood, like, is it a myth or not, that he actually basically directed it, that he was on set all the time, that Hooper might have been either like too drugged up, or maybe it was always kind of the deal that Spielberg would really be the one directing. Some people say absolutely that's what happened. Some people say no, that's bullshit. I will say you feel Spielberg's imprint all over this movie.
You certainly do. It feels like a Spielberg movie.
It feels like a Spielberg horror movie, which is the cool thing, because, by the way, one of the only movies, no matter what, forget if he directed or not, he produced it, but also one of the only movies he has a screenplay credit on. Close Encounters is one of the only other ones. So he co-wrote this sucker, and it is so in his, like, in Spielberg's suburbia, and has little kids, and has all, and it came out the same year as E.T., which is fascinating because it has a lot of the same touchstones of little kids, suburbia, and something comes into their life, except here it's a dark, ominous thing that comes into their life.
Like Home Sweet Home Alone. Yeah.
right. But that's what's so cool about it, and why I suspect he probably did direct parts of it. But even if he didn't, again, his influence, it works really well on that level of being like, what happens when a Spielberg family encounters evil, are the kids from Home Alone. I really dig this movie, and I think it's still really cool. And we've also talked, by the way, about why it's a great example of how no new reboot of something can ruin or disparage the original, because so few people even remember there was a remake.
I was going to say, listeners, raise your hand if you knew that there was a Poltergeist reboot
in the past decade. Yeah, starring Sam Rockwell. So check out the original. It's on HBO Max. So it's
and there are two sequels you can like. Yeah, there are two sequels that you don't have to
have diminishing returns. They have some moments, but
people might not know this, but They're Back is from the Poltergeist franchise, because that was the teaser for the sequel.
Yes,
when the TV would come on, but that is used everywhere.
No, Matt. The thing, it was the phone, because the original was They're Here with her putting her hands on the TV.
Oh, that's so They're Here,
and then the sequel was the phone ringing and her saying They're Back, but that became the more memed thing.
Well, that's the thing that everyone says, from wrestling announcers to newscasters and they don't even know what they're referencing. They're like, just They're Back.
Yeah. Like, do you remember the first Insta parody of Poltergeist 2's trailer?
Insta parody, like, in the moment.
In the moment, something within a year.
It's ringing a very soft bell, but you're gonna have to remind me.
It was the trailer for Revenge of the Nerds 2, where a phone rang, and it's like all the nerds gather on the phone going, "We're back."
By the way, that's brilliant. Secondly, Nerds in Paradise is a much better sequel than Poltergeist 2 was.
Yeah, because it's they even parodied, like, the teaser panning through, going past a picture of Carol Ann, except it was a picture of Betty from the first movie. It was like, it's brilliant.
This is great stuff. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so let's head into our ergo concurrently main event, where we talk about Matrix Reloaded. Full spoilers for Matrix Reloaded, the 2003 sequel to The Matrix.
And next week, Matrix Revolutions, which is also on HBO Max.
Ugh. Okay. Okay. Matrix Reloaded, Eric. First of all, should mention at the time, and until Deadpool, it was the highest grossing rated R film of all time.
Which is super impressive when you think about that. Yeah.
Like, a movie making, upwards of $700 million or a little more than that in 2003 is a huge deal. Like, that's $1 billion now.
Because
so much
at that point, it was very rare that a movie would hit $1 billion for an R-rated movie to make that much.
So, and there are a lot of elements of this movie that I think work, and then there are a lot I think don't. And one of the biggest ones is the resolution and the ending, and whether or not this is how the Wachowskis were planning it, and this is what it was meant to do. The ending of this movie and the whole scene, we're jumping way to the end, or I am right now. The whole scene between Neo and the architect, which was parodied very well with Will Ferrell at the MTV Movie Awards.
Did you go back and watch that? Because I did.
No, I didn't. I just remember it.
I watched the whole 10 minutes, and it's very funny, everything that happens in those 10 minutes of Justin Timberlake and Sean William Scott having adventures through the Matrix Reloaded.
That's what Matrix Resurrection should be, by the way. So it really just takes, and I used this phrase already earlier, it takes the air out of the first movie, and it takes the steam out of the end of that movie when everyone's like, fuck yeah, he's gonna fuck up shit in the Matrix. He knows exactly what he's doing. And this movie opens with, I don't know what to do. So it's like, who is the guy who flew away? Who's the guy who crank yanked the Matrix, hung up on them, and then flew off to Rage Against the Machines in the end of the last movie? And we cut to Neo on the Nebuchadnezzar being like, I don't know what I'm doing. And like not being able to have sex with Trinity anywhere. Like, I don't know. I don't know why they can't have sex on the Nebuchadnezzar. And then they have to steal away to have sex. Like it's forbidden for them. It's weird. Like just have sex whenever you want to. It's Zion, man.
At the rave.
Look at it, Zion. Everyone's sweaty and sopping and like writhing on each other.
Wearing see-through clothing. Come on.
Okay, so a big part of this movie is the introduction of Zion itself and other unplugged human characters and the human subterranean civilization that we did not see in the first movie. In the first movie,
getting an idea more, because it might have been said in passing, but really understanding that Morpheus answers to people like that. It's like
he is a leader, but he is not the leader. He is sort of one of the ship captains who goes out there and unplugs people, and he seems to be the one that people think is crazy because of his belief in the one. Where in the first movie, we kind of get the sense that, everyone feels great about the one. Well, that turns out not to be true. And I think one of the gentle downfalls of this movie is that the first movie, and this was even the case in the first movie. The thing though, is the first movie spent so much time in the Matrix, doing shit in the Matrix. And we mentioned how the last 40 minutes of that movie are pretty much one long action sequence train that is mostly in the Matrix and doing like really cool physics breaking shit in the Matrix. And you really do sort of like conceptually, we're like, yeah, we want to be real people. Human race should be free. I get on paper, this looks like a grand idea, but you have to like, Zion has to be a place that I like more than the Matrix. Right. It's not like I would do what Cypher did. If someone took me to see Zion, I would say, could you plug me back in? Right. Because this smells, this is dirty. Everyone's like oily, and it just is not. Apparently, you guys have like Minority Report style virtual technology, but also no one can sew up a hole in a sweater. No one's a tailor. No one's making clothes for anyone because like Neo and Trinity are still wearing like hobo rags on the Nebuchadnezzar.
And again, this is it's definitely a case where something, less can be more, because in the first movie, that aesthetic worked when it's just the Nebuchadnezzar on its own, a ragtag group wearing ragtag clothing. But yeah, now that we see it's like a whole society and you all have to, here's your sweater. It just doesn't work in a large scale. They're little
bitter backbiting. They're all like backstabbing pieces of shit. Like it's in my heart of hearts. I don't care that Zion was going to be destroyed. And that I should, like, for this movie to work, I should care that the computers are going to come and kill Zion and wipe out the remnants of the human race that are unplugged. I should care about that, but I don't, because it's just not as, it doesn't grab me like the cool Matrix people do.
Right.
And, so that's just sort of a flaw, that an unavoidable flaw, because this is what the Wachowski story. And as you rewatch this movie, there's nothing like the ending is exactly what it was supposed to be the whole time. I get that this was their plan. Like, there are so many lines in this movie where they talk about where Smith said, this is happening exactly as it did before. And the Merovingian was like, your predecessors weren't like this. You know, there's all these lines talking about how like all these computer programs have met Neo and the One already. So
right.
It's all in there. And then at the end, when we're like, oh yeah, you're just one of six, and this is going to happen all over and over again. And I really did have to sort of go onto a few matrix boards to get the full gist of who the One is and what the Oracle's plan was, because it's just not overtly clear in an entertaining way. Like, I can figure it out, but it's not fun. Like, it's just not fun. Like, that the One is an anomaly within the matrix that sort of absorbs all of the anomalies that emanates from the very few humans who reject the matrix. And that makes the One the sort of ground zero integral anomaly and the sum of all the anomalies. And
yeah, the Matrix wants the One because it's part of like the plan. Like, oh yeah, because some humans will always reject it, and so, but you're part of the system that will kind of reboot it every time.
And so it needs to be rebooted because some humans will always reject it, and so every 100 years you need to walk through this fucking door.
Right.
And I think it's explained more in the next movie. The reason why this particular Neo doesn't go through that door and goes through the other door is because this is the first time that the One has been in love.
Right.
And this is a design by the Oracle. And I think it's explained more in the next movie that the Oracle's looking to fuck shit up and break this cycle. So we won't spoil more, but like that's the gist of the end. And it's because love conquers the cycle, basically. And it's the destabilizing element of all of this is Neo and Trinity, so it's funny. I got a lot of feelings about, we've had two movies now. The first movie, they're falling in love, Trinity and Neo. And I get it. Kind of at the end, it's like, I love you too. It's like, you don't really know each other, but okay. It's a movie. It's an action movie. We've seen enough to believe that they love each other.
Right.
This movie builds more on that. I feel more of their relationship. I'm still not fully sold on it, but I'll say this. In the trailer that Joey brought up for Matrix Resurrections, just Keanu and Carrie-Anne Moss seeing each other and not knowing who they are, I felt more of their love in that scene for some strange reason than I did in these two movies. And the only way I can liken it, Eric, is to, you know how like Daniel Craig and what's her name? Who
Lea
plays
Seydoux.
Lea Seydoux, and how we're supposed to buy that they're in the love by the end of Spectre and it doesn't work, but in No Time to Die, it does.
Yeah.
Like time away, and like just really it took like a few minutes, and it was like, oh, why does this few minutes work so much better than the entire last movie? So that's what I felt when just that moment in the trailer. I was like, why does that movement work more? Maybe it's just time away. Maybe it's like time distance from the previous thing. I don't know. I can't explain it.
Yeah, I don't know, because I'm fine with it in the first movie, but yeah, this movie, because the first movie we talked about last week has like it pulls off a balancing act because it's a lot of stuff is happening and there's a lot of like things that could play very silly, but they're mostly once in a while there's a line that plays silly, but most of it doesn't. Most of it is sold by the acting and just the how dedicated the Wachowskis are, like how in they are in it, and you buy into it and you're like with it. This movie, the second one, has a distancing to it. And suddenly, personally, I wasn't into it as much. Like personally, now I felt this removal, this arm's length from it with Zion and some of the stuff with Neo and Trinity. And suddenly I wasn't as like locked into the story like that first one, like draws you into it. And it's kind of hits the ground running. And then, the second one, it gets a lot more like, arguments. There's a lot to easily parody that was easily parodied about this movie when it came out. The architect being a big deal, but also like everyone. Morpheus is the worst offender, but he's not the only one. everyone saying the word belief or believe over and over and over again. Like I put down when it's like, God damn it, Morpheus, not everyone believes what you believe.
It's like the host of FanDome.
Them to. And it's like everyone keeps saying belief. All these guys are sitting at these tables and talking about what they believe.
Oh, and like the old council with their dirty feet, and I just assume that everyone has dirty feet, but like Tony Zerbe, who's, he's a good actor. We've seen him he's had decades of a huge career. I remember his head exploding in License to Kill.
I just watched his head explode in License to Kill about 2 weeks ago.
And Anthony Zerbe, longtime Hollywood actor, supporting actor, character actor, if you will, as the head counselor, I guess. I don't know. So we'll just start with the movie here. It starts sort of in media res. Technically, it's Neo's dream, except it's a dream that's going to come true. But like the first movie, we start with a big Trinity sequence, which is kind of cool, sort of a fun, callback to the first movie. Really impressive. The effects are still really cool, blowing up a place, but then like cutting to, and we know time has passed, jumping through a window, an agent, shooting her as they're falling. It looks really cool. And then it's all sort of a Neo dream. And then they wake up and they're still just dirty train car vagrants on the Nebuchadnezzar. And we don't know what they're supposed to do. In fact, no one knows what they're supposed to do because Morpheus thinks that the Oracle needs to tell them what's coming next. And
right.
During this time, they're heading back to Zion. But before they get to Zion, we see a ship captain's meeting within the Matrix itself, where we meet Jada Pinkett Smith. So, side quest, at least Will Smith's wife got into the Matrix series.
Yeah, I never thought about that. It's funny,
even
right?
Though Will Smith turned down the role of Neo. Yeah, so but she got in there because after the first movie, that family was like, look, we got to be part of the Matrix.
Get someone in the Matrix. We should also mention Link, who is the new pilot and operator.
Harold Perrineau from former Good Thing to Enjoy, The Edge, and Lost.
And just about to star on Lost when he did this. And we mentioned last week the behind the scenes drama where the actor who played Tank wanted too much money and there was a big fight and they replaced him. They kill him off screen. We're not clear if he died from the injuries from the end of the first one or if he died in another mission, but he's dead. And Link's wife is Tank and Dozer's sister, right?
I was going to ask you, but that's kind of what I got from it. Sorry.
Yeah. And then Dozer's widow is Gina Torres.
Very briefly, Gina Torres shows up as Dozer's or Tank's widow.
One of the widows.
One of the widows. We don't know who she was married to. Maybe both brothers.
And
it's Zion after all. Everyone's free and loose there.
And then sadly, Aaliyah was originally cast as Link's wife and filmed a lot, but then passed away, and they had to reshoot all her scenes with the new actress.
Dust yourself off and try again. All right, that's right. So, Zion sucks. I'll say it. Zion's terrible, and I don't like being there. And we're there for a while. Yeah. Before Neo has to go meet the Oracle, we're in Zion for a while. And who is who's Locke? Harry Lennox. Harry Lennox. Yeah. Harry Lennox is Commander Locke
of the Snyderverse and Dollhouse fame.
And he hates Morpheus. I don't know why he got Naomi, but maybe
they put this weird love triangle with two characters we didn't know until
But
now.
Clearly it's because he knows Naomi still likes Morpheus. But we don't know why Naomi left Morpheus. Is it because he said belief too much? Maybe.
Yeah. She's like, if you say believe,
if you believe one more time, he's like, I don't believe I will. She's like, damn it. And so then they're just sort of waiting around. Morpheus gives a very animated, un-Morpheus-like speech. Oh, and so I wanted to mention about the Matrix captains meeting is that they're all speaking or Morpheus is at least, he's speaking in his Matrix voice, which is the same mannerisms and dry delivery he was doing when he was first talking to Neo with the blue and the red pill.
Right.
That's the way he's speaking in the Matrix. So I don't know what that means again. But that's what it's like at this sort of Matrix soiree. But then he gives this giant speech to Zion about the one,
which is a conflicting message because, as we said, it's an interesting idea to introduce that Morpheus might be seen as kind of this outlier, and a lot of people thinking, oh, crazy Morpheus, versus some people believing in him. I said it myself, but when he gives his speech, everyone's cheering. So it seems like everyone's like Team Morpheus at the moment,
And we should mention too that Cornel West is one of the counselors later on, one of Anthony Zerbe's robed crew up on the Elder Council. So yeah, he gets them all riled up, and then the techno music starts, and then it's basically, again, it's this moment where like some reason Trinity and Neo can't have sex. But they could when everyone wasn't looking, like when everyone's distracted, they were like, now we can do it. And they sneak off. And it's this juxtaposition of them fucking in their quarters with everyone just rubbing up against each other, and Zion in slow motion.
Right. It
feels like it lasts a long time.
It was very parodied, like, again, a lot of this movie, which was a huge hit, but it was a huge hit, but some people were making fun of it pretty quickly. The architect scene, but also Zion and the rave scene, as it would be referred to, was kind of infamous because I think a lot of people just had the shared thing of Zion being a disappointment and the rave seeming cheesy. And it made them look silly. Yeah. Like it made them look sort of silly and ridiculous. And also, it's hippies are an easy target, and so when you make Zion look like a bunch of freewheeling hippies who are also going to fall in line with basically a cult leader like Morpheus, and then it's like, oh, they're a bunch of morons. They don't seem bright. They don't seem like they're taking this seriously enough, and they also seem like silly hippies. And so that's going to bring on ridicule. Right. It's interesting, though, to think about it in context of the Wachowskis. This is 4 years later, which is a long time usually for a sequel. Although they went into this making 2 and 3 together, right? So it was like it took a while to come together, but the whole idea was, we're going to make them back to back, release them 6 months apart. But the Wachowskis after this, of course, would get more and more kind of experimental and artsy, and people love some of their stuff, but it's also less and less commercial. And so there's moments in this I'm like, okay, this is like, even that rave scene, I'm like, this seems like they want to do one of their Sense8 orgies, but they couldn't.
They couldn't.
Right?
Eric, I really enjoy and appreciate Cloud Atlas. I have no idea. I know Tom Hanks was in it, but I have no idea how that movie got made.
Right.
Like that's one of those, wow, what, like there was no way to really make a hit. There was no way to make a hit out of that. Like there was never going to be a success, that movie.
I mean, again,
which I applaud, but
I mean, it's one of those on paper things of it's the directors of The Matrix and it's Tom Hanks. What can go wrong?
Most things. So yeah.
Right.
Okay. So then we get to basically back into the Matrix. And we should mention that Agent Smith made his show. There's a brief action sequence because agents try to raid that captain's meeting. And is that the moment where Neo stops all the bullets? I can't remember.
I believe so. Yeah.
But Agent Smith shows up, and now there are multiple Agent Smiths. And following the first movie and what happened to Agent Smith, he is now a rogue program. He is not an agent anymore, and he has the ability. I like
this conceptually. I like that he's been disconnected and he's on his own.
Well, now. Okay, so smartly enough, they could have kept him dead, but he was such a fun and interesting and captivating villain, and he's no longer the face of the robot Holocaust like he was previously, but he's still the most interesting antagonist and enemy.
Yes.
In the series, so they got to keep him around, but they figured out an interesting way that makes sense for him to stick around. And he has now sort of ascended beyond his programming, where he can disconnect and roam around the Matrix freely and
he can take over other agents.
Well, he can also infect, as we saw, and it didn't pay off in this movie. It'll pay off in the next one. He can actually also infect unplugged humans.
Yes.
In the Matrix. And he could take over them too, because he tried to with Neo and Morpheus and failed both times. But he was sort of like absorbing them or going into them. So then we get the park scene. Oh, well, first, who does Neo fight? There's just a fight scene that's really cool. That's really for no reason, where it's like, I just needed to make sure you were the one before you.
Seraph, who works for the Oracle.
Yeah. Basically played by a martial artist named Colin Chu, who, he's just a Taiwan martial artist.
Jet Li turned it down because he didn't want to be digitally scanned.
Oh, is that what happened?
For some reason?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's literally in that movie for a fight scene. That's cool, but yeah, that's why he's there. And then we meet the Oracle.
And he also, we learned that because they explain what the Oracle is this time, that she is a program.
So the Oracle, still played by Gloria Foster at this point, basically reveals she's a program and speaks even more in riddles this time around. We find out why at the end, but I can't tell you what you're going to do. I can't tell you why I'm doing this. Yeah. I can't say anything. Can't tell you shit, but I'll tell you what she does tell us, Eric. Mm-hmm. That anything having to do with vampires, werewolves, or aliens is our rogue programs fucking around.
Right.
So anything that seems paranormal or supernatural in our world, Eric, because, presuppose that we're living in the Matrix right now. It's because of rogue programming. They already demystified deja vu in the first movie, and now they're taking it to the world of monsters and aliens. Okay.
So Seraph, who we just mentioned, he works for her, but he's another program. So we're getting this idea of basically more and more of different factions. So the evil robot Holocaust, there are some programs within it that do not agree with it. And the Oracle is kind of the head of that.
Well, and then she mentions that a lot of programs go rogue as well because they're on the verge of being replaced or erased,
right?
Just due to upgrades. Now, there's elements of this that also reminded me that I don't think this movie really exists the way it does without Tron coming before it, with the personification of programs and a hierarchy of programs being represented by human beings on the grid. Which was basically a Matrix in its own right. All right.
There's an interesting article I would recommend for people who are interested in this stuff, that Patrick Willems, who's a good, a YouTuber, does a lot of interesting, thoughtful videos about movies. But he wrote an article, I think there's also a YouTube component to it, from a couple of years ago called Why It's Almost Impossible to See the Matrix Reloaded as Was Meant to Be Seen. Basically talking about how the Matrix Reloaded was a huge push for multimedia, because there was the Animatrix, which were a bunch of anime shorts, and there was the Enter the Matrix video game, and it was all considered canon. It was kind of ahead of the game on this is official, this is part of the story. But the downside of that is if you go to see the Matrix Reloaded and you haven't absorbed that other media, you are not getting all the information. And that there's stuff like that kid who's following Neo around because he, you saved my life.
And then he doesn't show up at all during the rest of the movie. Yeah,
that's from one of the anime shorts. And then Niobe, Jada Pinkett Smith, goes off on a side mission that the video game is all about. And Lee Wanell, by the way, we should mention, is in this movie very briefly, who is now, a very successful writer-director. But he was an actor at this point. He's in Saw shortly after this. But he is also in that video game because it's telling this whole side story. So I haven't played the game or seen the Animatrix, but it is an interesting facet of this movie is very dense. It's throwing a lot of interesting ideas of these different factions and sects, but it's almost too much. And then I think the idea was, well, if you absorb all this other media, you'll get even more of an understanding. But that's asking a lot of people who just want to see the sequel to The Matrix,
Yeah. I didn't even recognize who Lee Wanell was in this movie. So I'm not going back and watching it. I'm
right. He's in there briefly. He's wearing a sweater, Matt.
So then they gotta basically the back half of this movie is them dragging around the poor keymaker as this guy is just reacts to everyone shooting and exploding around him. They have to go see the Merovingian, who's this pompous French program. I don't know. I mean, the program mentions why they speak French. They just like the sound of it and stuff like that. There's the orgasm cake and Monica Bellucci and these secondary antagonists that kind of take over for a while the role of Agent Smith. For a while. But before we get into the chase, the big action scene, we should talk about the first big action scene from this movie. That we've already had some action scenes, some fight stuff. But the first big one comes right after the meeting with the Oracle in the park, which is Smith showing up, talking to Neo, saying that he's free now, trying to take over Neo, and basically Neo fighting all the Smiths.
Yes.
And it starts off really cool. It goes on for a long time. Considering that Neo flies away at the end, you kind of resent how long it goes on a little bit, because you're like, oh, he could have done this at any time. But
also, it has that because there's a lot of fun stuff in it, and then it goes on too long. And then also, and this is an issue that with a lot of movies in this era, and especially it's funny because I know we mentioned this recently, Attack of the Clones, which opened a year apart from this, this is a dangerous era for the rise of CG effects. Clearly, the first Matrix made copious use of CG effects, but this one 4 years later makes more use of it, sometimes to its detriment. So like that fight with all the Smiths is really fun and cool until everyone turns
until it's
into
100
cartoon.
Smiths. So
until
yeah.
it's 100 Smiths, and effects weren't at the point where they could make it really believable when they start like flinging people around and it's clearly digital people.
Yeah.
And it suddenly becomes, again, that distancing thing happens.
So it for about, because again, it goes on for a long time. So like for 5 minutes, it's really cool when it's like split screen stuff with multiple.
They do a really good job with the multiple faces of
with basically like a lot of Hugo Weavings in there, and it's Keanu Reeves and Hugo Weaving actually doing their stunts, and it works. Yeah. It's really cool. But then, once he gets bum rushed by all the Smiths, then it takes away what makes the Matrix special, which is them doing their own shit, and it becomes, like you said, a video game. It becomes the end, the bullseye Daredevil at the end, the fight scene at the end of Daredevil. It becomes like what many things that were influenced by the first Matrix but didn't get it right became in that era. Even elements of like Blade 2, Blade stood out at the time too, because Wesley Snipes was doing his own martial arts, and like the fight scenes were really cool. And then when things got overly CG in Blade 2, it like took away a lot of the awesomeness. And that's just what happened in the aughts. And here, like
this era, this like 2002, 2003 era,
when you're looking at them and it looks like a video game, like of the era, not now, but like a video game of the era cutscene. And I remember that in the theater being like, oh man, what the fuck is this? Like, it just doesn't look good. But
I funny, I put in the notes, but here's what I put in my notes: fight mostly cool until it becomes too cartoony, and then I put in parentheses, bowling pin noise, because they do, when he throws one of the Smiths into a bunch of the other Smiths, they actually play a bowling, like it's the sound effect of bowling pins being hit. I was like, how did that stay in? That feels like a joke someone did.
That's like almost like a Wilhelm scream, but not quite, but like even more distracting. So then we get into the Merovingian, whose wife program betrays him. Now it's like we've got husband and wife programs betraying each other.
We get a close-up of a digital orgasm.
The orgasm cake, and
I mean, again,
like a long monologue.
Wachowski's putting a lot more like sexual content. Again, the first one was R. All the movies are R. But at the same time, more sexual content into like a kind of what had become a very mainstream action sci-fi series then is the norm. And so that was kind of interesting how they a lot more than they want to delve into.
Yeah, a lot more circular rhetoric about causality and fate. Like the Merovingian shit goes on for too long too. Like with him just lecturing them about like cause and effect. And I don't even know what the point of all that was. And, just give me the fucking keymaker and let me run away. And this leads to diverging action sequences. One where, so the Merovingian has two twin dreadlocked, this is very aughts, two twin dreadlocked white guy ghost programs. Yeah. And Keanu spends a hefty portion, a long period of time fighting off the Merovingian's guards with maces and swords, and they're flipping between stairwells and banisters and stuff like that. It looks really cool.
Yes.
And I do remember when I saw this, because it lasts so long, I was like, are they agents? Why is he having such a hard time with these bozos? Like, right. One, how strong are these programs and how weak is he? Because, and again, this isn't anything I thought right now. I remember this feeling. I was like, how strong, like the inconsistency of what Neo can do and what he can't do. because agents should be the end all be all of like program bosses.
Yeah.
And we already saw that he can still handle them pretty easily at the end of the first movie. But now he's just like doing a circle jerk with these guys while Niobe and not Niobe, Trinity and Morpheus, Niobe comes and saves them. But like Trinity and Morpheus are making away with the Keymaker.
Niobe returns from the video game to save them. Yeah.
Yes. Is that the story? Is that where she was?
Yes. It's happening concurrent. Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah. Okay. But it leads to this really awesome freeway chase that has so many different parts and moving elements that it's awesome. Like it starts in a car, it goes in, and then it goes into motorcycles and trucks. They eventually wind up going against traffic. And it's all this, keep away with the Keymaster. We get Morpheus versus an agent on top of a truck, and at this point, agents are still supposed to be, again, the big bosses, right? And this isn't Neo fighting an agent. This is Morpheus, who we've only seen get his ass kicked and defeated by Agent Smith. So
how is he getting about this sequence? I forgot is that Neo is not in the freeway sequence for most of it. He comes in later.
He could have been if he just handled his business
right.
and beat up those guys with the swords easily, like he should have. Okay, instead he's on a mountain and he has to fly 500 miles. And but this is a really awesome. It's got the techno music going, and it's got everything looks really good. Like obviously there's moments of CGI, but it's work. You can it's fine. It's fine CGI. I like it when the agent he's jumping and he smashes the hood of that car. A lot of car flips in this and crashes that look really cool. And just like and also they wisely sort of preface this with, I thought you told me never to get on the freeway. Like freeway is suicide in the Matrix. Something we hadn't heard in the first movie, but they tell you with enough time for it to make sense. Like this is a danger zone and it works spectacularly. And, this wasn't enough to save the movie, but it is a great part. So
no, it's a really cool part. And it was, the thing people came out of it talking the most about. And I think it still holds up, the escalation of it. Unlike say the multiple Smith versus Neo fight, because that's the same thing happening and it goes on too long. But here, different things keep happening in a really fun escalating way.
They get away, and it's because Niobe, comes in from the video game, like Eric said, and Neo finally arrives, and we get this movie's version of the 360 shot. And this time, though, it's a different scenario, and it still looks really cool. The 360 around the truck explosion as Neo saves Morpheus, and it looks really cool. It's like a 360 bullet time explosion that happens. And at this point, the Sentinels are about to. They've been the whole time the robot army, which has like crazy numbers, and it's going to kill everyone. They're just digging down to Zion. And there's only hours until they do it. And they need the Keymaker to go into this specific door. They don't know what's behind the door. And first they have to get through the hallway of Smiths. Yes. So there's a hallway fight. Before the Netflix Marvel movies did the hallway fights, there was the Matrix Reloaded hallway fight, which it was really cool. Better than, again, the park cartoon stuff. And the Keymaker gets killed, right? But just in time, he gets to go and
gets it open,
the architect. And this is where, and I'll use a word that the architect likes to use, concurrently. At the same time, Trinity, who has been asked and has acquiesced and has said, "Okay, Neo, if it's that important to you, I won't be involved in this." But then shit with their plan goes wrong. Trinity has to go in. It was like a prophetic dream he was having. Everything's happening the way it should. She's doing this. She's getting killed. And at the same time, Neo is meeting with this, the program that created the Matrix called the Architect, who is this, who's the actor? I don't know who it was. I still don't. Helmut Bacadis.
Right.
Wow. Australian. Actor, director.
Well, like they filmed these in Australia, so Lee Wanell, all these Australians for it. Yeah.
All right. Just wow. just kind of like a sort of a wretched turd of a scene. I don't know. This was the scene that just like it just really pulled the rug out. It's meant to sort of be like an oh shit moment, like oh wow, that's what the one is.
Like yeah, the fact that the bad guys are the ones who really are behind Neo and the one, and they want him.
Yeah, and so it's supposed to be almost an Empire Strikes Back, like I'm your father moment, where it's like oh shit,
you were created for the evil thing. Yeah, not the good thing.
But really it was, so instead of it being like that's what the one is, it's like oh that's what the one is, you know. It doesn't land, doesn't hit the way that the movie wants to hit. And then what does he do, Eric? He literally does doom Zion because he goes to save Trinity. So right. So everyone does die. Everyone at Burning Man down in down on the ground, and because he's in love with Trinity. And then but then for whatever reason we don't know, and this is because this has never happened before, he is the first one, correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, he's the first one to not go through the door the architect wanted him to go through.
Right, that's what I recall.
Okay, and we learn it's because the oracles fuck shit up. And but because of this, either he has developed or he discovers that he has already the power to resurrect somebody. And then after that, he's got the power to use his Matrix powers in the real world. Like when he comes out of the Matrix, he can stop the Sentinels with his hand, with his mind, Eric.
He also removes the bullet from her heart in the Matrix.
Yeah, like he pulls it out and saves her life. And so this was stuff that he didn't know he could do, but you know why he can do it, Eric? Do you know why? He believes.
He does believe, yes.
So I don't know why Morpheus was so sad at the end. The movie leaves Zion in ruin, Morpheus all sad and despondent, and then the one dude that Smith possessed alive.
Yes. That's your cliffhanger. Is that like, oh, we found one survivor, and then it's Smith is inside this guy. Yeah.
But, and that Neo now has actual powers in at this point. So yeah, I don't remember too much of the final movie. There are moments I do remember, but I don't. A lot of it's gonna.
Yeah. Again, I think I might have only seen it once.
I know I've only seen it once, and. But at this point, if I were somebody leaving this movie going into the next movie, I would be. It's exciting that he can use his mutant powers now. It doesn't make any sense. First of all, he's no longer a program inside a computer program. So why can he have powers in a real world? It doesn't make any sense. So I am interested to see how the movie explains it. The next one, but also I'm like, oh God, this means he never has to go back into the Matrix. Like if he could just do this to Sentinels in the real world, right. Like why does he need to go back in? So I would be bummed. I would be like, no. I know he does go back in the Matrix.
Right. It's interesting rewatching this because remembering that this was a movie. Look again, talking about the box office, it was the highest grossing R-rated movie forever, and it held that for 13 years. People were so excited because the first one was so beloved. So it has all this hype, and again, it wasn't hated. I think there was things that people came out of this movie innocently making fun of, and also feeling like that was disappointing aspects of it. But they didn't hate the movie. There was things that you could definitely pull out that were great about it and really cool about it. It's definitely a case of if there was room to still make it a successful trilogy, if you could nail the finale. And unfortunately, that is not the perception of that third one. Because there are people, again, I think this is a huge mixed bag of a movie, but I think there's a lot of people go, hey, I like the second one. It's the third one that's the problem. Is the third one that now the weight was on it more than ever because the second one was disappointing in some aspects, and there were some things that didn't work about it.
I think one of the things, if I can remember correctly, is that it had less of the actual Matrix than the previous two movies, because there was less of a need for him to go in the Matrix. So it was more in the bullshit dystopia world that's not as interesting.
just not as exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, like, rewatching it, like, because I remember this one I saw a couple times, 2 or 3 times in the theater, and it was one that, although I knew I was let down, that it didn't live up to what I wanted because I love the first one so much. While I was still like hopeful, like, let's pull off this third one. But I don't know. It really goes to show you how, the first one, stands on its own, just as a story, but also just as a movie that was able to juggle all these elements and make them really work and feel like it all gelled. Because this time it was a lot trickier.
Agreed. It'd be funny as if the new movie Resurrections, Will Ferrell is now old enough to play the architect.
Right.
And he just does, but not winkily. Like, that would be really fun. Okay.
I do highly recommend, go to YouTube, type in Matrix MTV Movie Awards. Don't watch, because some people just put up the Will Ferrell part, which is like 3 minutes, but watch the whole thing. It's like 9 minutes, 40 seconds. It's really funny. Wanda Sykes plays the Oracle. Andy Dick shows up. And Will Ferrell has the architect, brings it all home. So it was
2 of those 3 still get a lot of gigs.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Next week, everyone, The Matrix Revolutions, and I always have to I'm gonna mix up Resurrections and Revolutions.
Because The Matrix Reloaded is a cool title because it's got a double meaning. Everyone, it's like reloading a weapon, but you also reload a program. Or a computer. So it's a cool title, but I don't know why they decided they had to commit to the R, the R name for the subtitle.
And they're terrible. Okay. I'm trying to think of all the R colon movies. Like Retaliation probably has been there. Wasn't that G.I. Joe?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Rise of whatever. That's always one.
Oof. All right. Okay. Thank you everyone for doing this Ergo Concurrently Reloaded recap with us. And I'm sorry, these are long. Sorry, guys. Like, the Matrix movies aren't short. And I don't know if we'll get a short movie for a while, considering our franchise picks, but we'll get back to it at some point. And until then, everything is possible, but nothing is real. But also everything is pre-planned and there's no free will. So just, fuck it anyway. Okay. And Shakma.
Shakma.